The Lunarians attacked an away team outside the conference room. Corlina discovered that Picard had already made a second date with Penny Murak. And Domjot is just a little trigonometry and some minor wrist action. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Sirach Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we're doing a review of Star Trek The Next Generation, Season 6, Episode 15, entitled Tapestry, written by the Ronald D. Moore, directed by the Les Landau. This was February 13th, 1993, Valentine's Day Eve. Where were you? And how you doing today, Sirach?
Excellent.
All right. Everybody, please make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for notifications. That way you know when we release a new episode. And go to patreon.com/the7th rule to support the show and tell us all how much you appreciate us monetarily. All right. So, Sirach, I do have thoughts about this episode, surprisingly. However, to my knowledge, this is the first time you've ever watched The Next Generation. So this would be the first time you've ever seen Season 6, Episode 15, Tapestry. What did you think of it?
It was a good episode. I'll say that first because I don't want to pile on the episode right away. I liked the episode. I enjoyed the episode.
But
I do. Well, the only but is, I guess the only but that I can say is I didn't know Tapestry was a Q episode. And so that's my big but, because
and you cannot lie.
He irritates me to the nth degree. Like I physically get annoyed by him. And because I guess because he's playing it so well, because he's supposed to be like that, right? He is, his character is an irritative, annoying, like, pestering, individual with a whole lot of arrogance and entitlement and supremacy issues. So there's like all of that there. And so when he gets on, I don't know what it is. I just like, oh God, here we go with this guy and his games. And so they made up for that. And I'm going to give Ron Moore credit because Ronald Moore did a fantastic job making this my favorite of the Q episodes, which maybe sounds weird or something, but I enjoyed this Q episode more so than I think I've enjoyed any other ones in the past.
Okay.
He was less obnoxious. He was gifting Picard an opportunity. And I thought, oh, I can tolerate this version of Q. It wasn't overly annoying.
Yeah, because the episode wasn't fully about Q. Q was more the guide, right? He was the guy that snapped his fingers to create this thing, kind of like the Robin Hood episode. He was kind of the guide. And he would pop in and pop out, and he's like the narrator almost. What did you think of Lieutenant Junior Grade Picard?
Yeah, first of all, it doesn't even fit. Like, it's like, what is this guy? Who is this guy, right? As soon as I saw the science officer colors on him, I was thinking, how did he even get out of command? Like, what's going on here? And then it made me think of your action figure, and I thought, oh, this is why Ryan has that one action figure that he has that different color in, right?
You nailed it.
This is it.
This action figure is from this specific episode. It's a rare one. It's Lieutenant Junior Grade Picard, and I always have him with me. I bring him up and I do his little voice, and I couldn't find him today, as luck would have it, which is, I was like, well, isn't that is such a Lieutenant Junior Grade Picard thing to do, is to not be around the one time when I actually need him. So that was pretty ironic.
Like, as many appearances as he's made on this podcast. And
yeah, I literally
amazing.
could not find. I even found his carrying case that Dr. Susan V. Gruner made for him. Oh, it's green.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, good, I found him. And I went like this. And his toga fell out, but not him. Even the little passport that Sue made for when she went to Greece and took him to Greece with her. Little Captain.
Wow.
Anyway.
So he's on the run.
So here's the thing, guys. If you find Lieutenant Junior Grade Picard action figure, please tell him to go home. His daddy is worried about him. And he'll be like, well, he's just not. Well, that doesn't sound like him, actually. He doesn't take chances. But anyway, back to the story. Sirach, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah.
Not only do I have that action figure just because it's a very rare one and it's fun to see Picard in science colors, but because I believe this is one of the greatest episodes in the history of Star Trek. Like, I think it's probably, for me personally, a top 5 favorite TNG episode, which stops you dead in your tracks to hear me say this, because up until now, it seemed like you had a little bit of respect for me. But I do believe that this is a fantastic episode. I even had the old 1999 VHS tape, and I mean, like, the price. You bought it for $19.99. Not that it came out in 1999. Maybe it did. And I would have that thing, and I'd watch it over and over again, and it was like, the biggest thing, obviously, is the message at the end. The message at the end was like, it is something that we have all thought of in our lives. I wish I hadn't done this. I wish I didn't do that. Boy, I did these crazy. And we talk about them with pride sometimes. Like, oh man, I did some bad shit. But then we also kind of have some regrets about certain things sometimes, or wonder what things would have been like had we not screwed something up. And the lesson is, it's all part of the tapestry of your life. And if you think your life would have been better had you not made that mistake 20 or 30 years ago, you might be wrong, because that mistake might have made you hit a bump in the road, but it might have created something better in the long run. And it's got a really great message, and I think a lot of people really like it. In fact, no spoilers, but our friend Jason M. Oken told me he is so bummed that he will not make the free-for-all, because he said this was his favorite TNG episode ever, which is the first time officially he's ever complimented anything. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's I have to say, I have to think back on my favorites, because it's all fresh in my mind, and I don't have the whole picture of all the episodes that I've seen in my head right now. Yeah, what was the episode where he lives out his old life and carves a flute for himself? That was another great episode.
Yeah, well, that was The Inner Light. That is, most people consider that a top 3 or top 5 episode, and a huge chunk of people say that's their favorite episode. Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah. I may lean more Inner Light than Tapestry.
Yeah, powerful.
Just because of the Q factor, really, literally, I love the story. So, like,
Q really threw you out of it.
Yeah, I swear.
But it's because he's necessary to this episode.
He is necessary, but the problem is, I have the same reservation that Picard himself states in the episode, which is, I refuse to believe the afterlife is run by you. That's one
and
thing.
And is this badly I don't believe the universe is this badly designed or something.
Yes.
Like that.
Yes.
So good.
Yes, and that's exactly how I felt. So when he said that, I was like, yes, yes, Picard, I agree with you. This can't be the case. He can't have the ability to transfer into interdimensionally into the afterlife. It's just too much for me. It's too much powers for a Q. And so I think that aspect of it. Now, if it was something else, another guide
Yeah, or
in the
magic
afterlife,
being or something like that.
yeah, another guide in the afterlife. Just and maybe this guide was faceless, and we didn't even know what alien it was or whatever. Just a guide, maybe robed or cloaked, and you just face just constantly not being able to be seen or whatnot. The Q factor is the part that made it a little bit harder for me, and so I would totally agree with you. The story was, I enjoyed watching the story. I enjoyed seeing. There's so much here, so we got to dissect a lot. But for example, I think we've heard about this story over the course of these 6 seasons, right? Have they not referred to this to Picard having an artificial
I
heart?
think they mentioned it in an episode, yeah. And certainly in our free for alls, people do hint towards things, and they do like to throw in
Yeah,
tapestry in their description of things, just the word with a little wink, wink, and a nudge, nudge. So it's been
yeah,
floating around. I've been trying not to say
yeah,
anything. I mean, and I know you've seen me play with this little rascal here in the
yeah,
past, so it's
yeah.
definitely been floating around. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think story wise, this let me, this is confirmation or reconfirmation because I already was certain about this that Ron Moore is the the premier writer of Star Trek, in my opinion. His
Yeah.
his
Yeah.
body of work is too good. It's too good.
Unbelievable.
It's too
And
good.
before we jump too much in that, just I think I'm also remembering Dr. Pulaski doing something to help Picard's artificial heart too. Yeah, just to agree with you a little bit
Yeah.
more. I think I remember that like maybe her first or second episode, like to kind of show how great she was at what she did. But anyway, Ronald D. Moore,
Well, they mentioned it in another episode. They was like, "Well, you have this rebuilt artificial heart." Somewhere in an episode,
yeah,
I heard it.
at least once or twice. And yeah, definitely. So, and then Ronald D. Moore, as we watch these episodes, we've seen all of Deep Space Nine. Now we're watching all of Next Generation. His library, his resume is getting stacked with good episodes.
It's not even a question for me. His writing is so eloquent that all I find myself doing when I watch an episode of his is write all the words down. And it feels like I'm just rewriting the script almost. I'm like, yeah, I can't just write everything. I have to, pick something that I like. But I end up writing damn near half the script, and I'm thinking, a script is good when you're sitting here writing the lines down.
Yep.
I know you do the same thing, but it's just like,
oh, do I ever?
it's amazing. I mean, when Picard first sees Q and he tells him, "You're dead," right? And he's like, "How am I? Why am I here? And how did I get here?" And he says, "Oh, because of the inept administration, Doctor Crusher." That was the first dig from Q, and I was like, "This he's an asshole in the afterlife." He's taking shots at Crusher over there.
Yeah, I'll show you real quick.
Yeah.
Dude, I do the same thing. This might be the first time I've ever shown this, but my notes a lot of times when it's a really good episode is just quotes, quote after
Yes.
quote after quote
Yes.
after quote after quote. And I'm like, why am I writing so many notes here?
Yes.
So many good
Yes.
quotes there.
Mine went so far that I had to go to the backside and fill up the other side. You see, because there was just too much.
Yeah.
Like on the backside, I had to write all the other stuff.
Although I get really scared showing everybody my notes because a lot of times I write really bad jokes to myself in these notes where I'll be like, oh, this guy said some dumb shit. And, and this guy's an idiot, or oh boy, nice acting, stupid, or but I'm like, I can't say that. But anyway,
Plus, you got nicknames for people that might
yeah,
surf.
yeah, I do. But not in this one. I think this was all positive, hopefully.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do have some nitpicks, but they're pretty minor. I do think that the best part of Q in this episode was when and this is maybe one of my favorite scenes ever in Star Trek history, is when Picard wakes up and he looks over and Q goes, "Morning, darling," and Picard goes, and he pulls up the blanket. Like, that's so
I was like, why is he pulling up the blanket like he doesn't want to expose his chest?
it's
You've
just
been
so
walking around with
funny.
your chest out this whole time, Picard. We've seen a
So
lot of your
good.
chest.
So good.
But yeah, no, that was funny. I did enjoy that moment. And there were some good moments, and that's why I thought this was Q's best episode for me. I enjoyed this version of him. Was a little tame, a little mild, more compassionate, and it was more a more clever gamesmanship than what I normally see him reduced to. Like when he says to him, "Hey, I'll restore your life and give you a real new working heart," and he does, but not what he thinks. You know, it's like when you
Right.
ask that genie for a wish, and the wish turns out wrong. You were like, "No, no, that's not what you
Yeah.
misheard me."
Yeah. Or like if you just tell a genie, "Hey, I want to be promoted at work." And the genie says, "Okay." And then you get promoted at work. And then 2 weeks later, you get laid off because they can't afford that level or something. You know what I mean? You're like,
Right.
gosh, what?
Yeah.
So yeah, you got to be careful about wishes. You got to be careful about regrets. Obviously, that's never going to happen. We're not going to have a genie. We're not going to have a Q. But we have these
Yeah.
kinds of things to remind us of, like, hey, be grateful for what you have. Don't necessarily think that things that were bad or seem bad or felt bad always turn out to have been bad in the long run. They're all part of the tapestry of our lives. And when you pull that thread, pull that loose end, it unravels the whole thing. But moving on a bit, you said besides Q, let's take Q out of this. What did you think of the
Yeah.
rest of it?
Well, I enjoyed it. Like I said, I really enjoyed the episode. It didn't have any performance wise that I can say blew me away. Um, where was that episode we just saw recently where Picard was very vulnerable and oh yeah, he was being held prisoner by the Cardassian guy.
Oh, Chain of Command.
I mean, that was performance wise. It was a higher level of acting that Patrick Stewart was doing in that episode because he had to be vulnerable. He was projecting himself. It was amazing, the performance.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, performance wise, I didn't see anything that jumped out to me like greatest episode. What made it great is the idea of what is the fundamental thing of it, which is we all wish we can get opportunity to relive or redo something. What if this didn't happen? What if that didn't happen? And would you be satisfied with the results of what that life is that you end up coming out of?
Mm-hmm.
And the irony is that the opposite is also true too. And that's why I thought it was funny to see Lieutenant Junior grade Picard. And what do I mean by that? There is a person who made life choices and is Lieutenant Junior grade assistant astrophysics guy, right? And maybe had that person gotten a chance to redo, they would be okay with the results.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
In the Picard case, we're seeing him not okay with the results because he ends up becoming demoted. He's not a captain anymore, and his all-time goal and dream of life is to be a captain. So nothing passes that in his ideas, right? He could be a baseball star. That wouldn't be as big for him. He wants to be a captain of a ship, right? He doesn't want to be a geologist or a Shakespearean actor. He wants to be a captain, right? And so I think he realized, hey, I got to do the thing that I love most, and I don't care that I'm on this ship in Starfleet. I'm not a captain, and that my ultimate dream is not fulfilled. And so I feel like at the root of the debate is um, fulfilling what you desire, fulfilling what you believe to be your destinies, fulfilling to be the thing that you think is uh, a defining characteristic of who you are. And I think that lies at heart of it, not the fact that he was demoted, because I think he's still in Starfleet. He's still studying a subject. Obviously, he did well in school and
Yeah.
well enough astrophysics, so he did well enough to get ranking in that. He passed that. It's all of that stuff. So what I'm saying is, it's more about achieving the dream of what he always wanted to accomplish, which is being a captain. It's not necessarily about because they kept saying you're running tests, making analysis, and carrying out reports to your superiors. That's what Q said to him.
That word superiors really, he hit that in
and
hard.
That word superiors hit him hard. And but once again, there are people living that life, doing it for Captain Picard.
Most people.
There are people on Picard's ship that are running tests, making analysis. Everybody, Geordi, Data, right? That's what they're doing. And to me, to quantify that as a miserable existence is not necessarily the right tone to hit, because I don't think Geordi's life is a miserable one, or Data's life is a miserable one, or any subordinate to them who may be working their way up the ranks. I don't think that just because they're not the captain and they're the superior officer, I don't think that's necessarily a definition of a inferior life, or one not worth living. Like, I would just rather die than so that's where a little bit of the morality and the message that we leave behind is slightly diluted by what they emphasize as being the thing that he cannot live with. I think it's more about him fulfilling his dream of being a captain.
Yeah, I see that, and I'll counter.
Okay.
I mean, part of what you're saying, a lot of it too, I agree, is that would he be that unhappy with it had he not already seen his previous reality? If he had never seen that or lived that and he was living this, then he would always just kind of regret not taking chances, but he wouldn't say, I'd rather die than continue on, most likely, right? He'd be like, oh, it's good enough. It's cool. It's everything I've ever known. It's just who I am,
Yeah.
But I think what really hit him was his conversation with Riker and Troy. That's when it really hit him hard, because that was a really good scene too. And there's nothing I love more than seeing actors that are hardly in an episode, like Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis were. Yet they gave that scene everything they had. I thought the acting from Riker and Troy both were phenomenal in that scene. Like, even when Troy wasn't talking, the way she was looking at Picard with concern and sympathy in her eyes while Riker was talking to him was really good. And the way Riker was just cracking me up, the way he's kind of a dick to his subordinate, we're used to seeing him talking to Picard, who's his superior, or talking to the guys like Geordi and Worf, who are not really his peers, but really close to his level. So he talks to them with respect most of the time. But apparently when he talks to this bumbling guy who's punctual, he's just like, look, if you really want to know, because he was like, oh, this might be better for your evaluation. And he's like, I really want to know now. He's like, okay, well, frankly, Lieutenant, I really don't think that's realistic. I mean, he's just like, fine. If you're going to be pushy about it and interrupt my date, I'm going to tell you the truth. It's not realistic. You're not going to be a captain. You're a great officer, and we don't want to lose you. But you just, you're thorough, dedicated, steady, reliable, and punctual.
He tells him, you got to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
You don't stand out, And then Troy says, yes, the thing is, you have lofty goals, but you haven't been willing to take chances to achieve them, or something like
yes.
to that effect.
Mm-hmm. And
I was like,
that's the crux of it.
That's the crux of it. And so, the thing is this: if we play it safe in life, and I think they mentioned the word "play it safe." I think something like Q says to him, like, "Yeah, you could play it safe," and da da da, right? So the word is the words will play it safe.
He even went on this big long monologue about that Picard, that Jean-Luc Picard, never led the away mission on whatever. Never took charge of the Stargazer when his captain died. Blah blah. Yeah. He learned to play it safe, and he never got noticed by anyone. And I'm like, oh, that is a bigger stab in the heart than the Nausicaans gave him. I'll tell you that much. Ouch.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I love the way they smile. The smile was incorporated. The moment when he smiles, when he gets stabbed, it's such a beautiful poetic justice type moment where it's just chef's kiss of a moment there. But when he says to him, you never took chances. The other Picard did this. The other Picard did that. And what it really boils down to is, in life in general, for everybody out there, you cannot walk around in a zero risk situation. If you do, you're going to bubble wrap yourself in your place, and you won't live life. You won't explore. There's risk when you drive a car. There's risk when you go running on a trail or hiking. There's a risk when you go on an airplane. There's a risk when anything, almost anything. Even eating.
I was just going to say, even eating is a risk.
Yeah, people choke to death and die while they're eating. So it's not impossible. Taking a shower, people have slipped and fell in the shower, and so if you're going to try to find a zero risk way of living life, it's almost impossible. You have to take on risk in life. You have to, face those fears and those challenges. And what you do in those moments, it's not that you don't feel it. It's that you overcome the feeling. You say, you know what? I'm good. I'm going to whatever it is. And you take on whatever that thing is. Ride a skateboard, mountain bike, whatever your thing is to do. You have to be able to overcome your fear. Swimming, anything. Nobody knows how to swim until they learn how to swim, right? And so you have to face that and take a risk. So I just feel like this episode was excellently written. For me, it highlighted why I love Ronald Moore's writing.
Yeah,
because it's the dialogue is scrumptious. It's very good to watch him architect the back and forth between his characters. You mentioned Riker in that scene. Riker had a look on his face like, first of all, I don't even. Your name is like
yes, Mr. Picard.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man,
Picard, right? And then he looks at him like. But you're taking up too much time for me right now. I don't want to be bothered with you. And it really did look like a subordinate type of situation. But once again, I did like the episode. The narcissist. We have to get to that.
Nausicaans. Oh yeah, we'll get. Oh, you mean the guys that go, "Hey, dumb jut, human." I got that action figure too. and it comes with the act. Oh, I should have gotten that. I bet you I
I
got
think
that
I've seen
somewhere.
you say that before. I've
Yo,
heard you
yeah, oh
say
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it comes with the long knife too. I should
It's
find
funny
those
because
guys.
the whole time I've heard you say that, I thought that was a Ferengi impersonation. I
Oh, interesting. Although the Ferengi do work with Noskins. Sometimes you'll remember in Deep Space Nine, like Quark will say, be careful. I know some very big Nausicaans or something like that. But look, we're going to take a break, and then I'm going to talk about all the things I hate about this episode.
Yeah,
If there
right.
are any, we'll be right back on the seventh rule. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the seventh rule with Sirach Lofton.
Hello.
Here are the trivioids of the week. This is funny because I love this episode, yet there weren't a ton of impressive trivioids for this one. It's just a good story. The Lunarians attacked an away team outside the conference room. Jean-Luc Picard was young, cocky, with far too much ego and not enough wisdom in his youth. Jean-Luc Picard went to Starbase Earhart right after graduation. Corlina discovered that Picard had already made a second date with Penny Muroc. Handsome is something you say to old ladies. Domjot is just a little trigonometry and some minor wrist action. It's kind of like basketball. Captain Narth is an excellent officer. All right. How did you feel about Picard getting slapped by one lady and then a drink? I did not understand why that lady threw the drink in his face, to be honest. Like, he called her a handsome lady, and she's like, that's what you say to old people. That's what you say to old ladies. And he says, you're not old. And she goes, I don't need your pity. What was he supposed to say? He said, you're not old.
Yeah,
Especially because
this
he
is what.
meant it, because he's like, I'm like old enough to be your dad, like he
Yeah,
definitely
it is
he's like,
that.
you're not old, believe me.
Yeah, he said, "I'm old," is what he should have said.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, no, I didn't mind. Excuse me, I didn't mind that so much. I thought the reason you asked me the reason why she slapped him, I thought it was because she says it in the beginning of that scene. She's like, "Hey, what happened to the guy from last night that was all over me and flirting?"
Yeah.
And so to me, it's like if you come with a certain level of expectation, like, "Yeah, I expect this guy's gonna be romancing me." We
Yeah,
already
she was
basically
trying
made
to
it to.
hump in a public place though. Like, does she
I know, but in
really
her
think?
mind, she's like, "We already made it to third base, and now you're back at the batters. You're back trying to swing again." She's like, "What's going on? We're going back." So she got a little bit upset because she wasn't being given the kind of attention and flaunting over that she wanted. So yeah, I didn't mind that. I didn't understand the original slap. Did he
Yeah,
get slapped the first time?
yeah, but they explained that. They said that she slapped him because she found out that he had a date right after her date. I mean, I don't really know if that warrants a slap. She could just be like, "Oh, you know what? Then I don't want to date you." But
Yeah.
whatever. It was the
Apparently, we haven't we regress as a society when it comes to relationship issues. But
yeah.
I again that kind of I found it a little bit weird, and I'm going to tell you why. People I know usually have the same characteristics over the years, even if they mature, even if there's still a base element of what that person is like. So if you're like a wild kid growing up, party, heavy drinker, partier, when you become an adult, you're not like going to bed at 8 o'clock. You still have a little that party guy is in you somewhere, and it could be activated even if you try to put it away. It could be activated. I see no signs of the flirt that Picard was supposedly during those days, where he was out here double dates and girls slapping him because
Well, because
he's
he
got all the
changed.
women
He
lined
grew
up.
up. Yeah, that's what he grew up, and now he's looking back and saying, and that's I feel like that's kind of his part of his lesson, is that he's looking back and going, I was a womanizer, I was a flirt, I helped my friend cheat at games, and that's not right. That's, and he's trying to be respectful and he's trying to be nice and he's trying not to hump women in a bar and all this kind of stuff because now he's grown up and now he looks back and frowns upon those things that he did 30 years ago. But then that's part of the lesson in that, like, doing those things formed the guy that he is now. He needed to do that to become a great captain. Everybody at home, you will not be a great captain unless you do those things.
unless you get in a fight with three guys who can beat you up and
piss people off, get drinks thrown in your face.
Yeah. This is the funny thing. He gets a second opportunity. He's like, you know what? I'm going to go back. I'm not going to be the guy I was before, who was just a womanizer and, getting into bar fights, right?
Ask Chuck. He's been in a bar fight. You ever been in a bar fight? Ask Chuck. He's been in a bar fight. Who said that?
Hey, Shaq, don't say nothing. Was that Shaq and Chuck?
It was Kevin Garnett who was saying it, though, if I remember correctly. But yeah, but to them, yeah.
So, no, I'm going to say, though, that and then he hooks up with the girl. What do you mean? He's like, this is the mature guy, right? This is the wisdom version of him.
But he hooked up with the one that he was in love with.
And for that night. That's where it was like, okay. Picard only gets he only hooks up on an away mission, whether it's the afterlife or
that's
the
true.
life. Right? I mean, have we seen him hook up not on the ship somewhere?
No, I think that's a good point. I think every time it's been, because that's his thing. He's like, I'm not going to hump on duty. I'm only going to hump off duty, because that's what a captain does.
That's a sign of a leader.
Yeah, but here are a couple things that made me laugh. Okay. When Q was talking to Picard towards the beginning of his, going back in the past, Q says, hey, how you doing? You seem unimpaled so far. Funny line. That's a good line. Obviously, when Q comes in with the flowers, completely cock blocks him. When like Picard and Marta were kind of getting a little close, and then suddenly Q comes in with the flowers. And he goes, "Is there a Jean Luck Pickard? John Luck?" And then he totally cock blocked him there. That was terrible. So there are a lot of lines that did make me laugh. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There. That's the line you were talking about. He learned to play it safe, and he never, ever got noticed by anyone. Okay, but here's the thing. What about?
I liked when he called Penny handsome at the bar, and then Q pops in and he's like, "Penny, for your thoughts."
Yes, I was like, they wrote that name specifically for that. Yes. So what about the other actors? What about Marta and what was his name? Corey. Did you like them? I mean, they were cool. They were fine, right?
Yeah. Yes. I thought they were good. I thought Marta was good. Yeah, I thought they were both good. Corey played just enough of a...
Do you like that you and Picard had the same girlfriend name?
Yes.
Marta?
Yes.
I mean, she was Marta and yours was Marda, but
we pronounced it the same. It was Marta.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, hey, Picard's first girl is Marta too. We got something in common.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Marta Batanides or something like that. That sounds maybe Greek.
I don't know. Yeah.
Although here's a nitpick for you.
Oh, let me ask you this. Okay. Give me the nitpick and I have a question for you.
Okay. Nitpick. I need my nitpick tie. I used to have it right there. Or right there. So the nitpick tie is Picard gets slapped. Q says, "What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, well, it's because she just found out that I have a date, blah, 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 blah." And he says, "What time is it?" And he says, "It's 16, 16:11, something like that, right? 4:11." And Picard says, "Oh, in fact, I believe Penny is waiting for me right now." I don't know
Yeah.
about you,
Yeah.
but I don't remember things to the minute 30 years later. At least I
No.
won't once I reach 30 years, I should say. But like, I would be surprised if he even remembered the names of these one or two date people 30 years later. I mean, you can remember maybe a name if they left an impression on you or a hand imprint on your face. But like to the time, 4:11. No, I remember specifically this was Tuesday, October 18th. Oh, it is October 18th. October 18th, Tuesday at 4:11 p.m.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was a weird thing. I'm like, come on, he doesn't remember the exact time he was meeting with her. Anyway, that's what I got
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought the same thing too. I thought, how did this guy know that to the day what his schedule was? I barely remember what I did last week. I have to look at my calendar. I'm not going to be able to just off the top of my head say, "Oh yeah, 2:27. I was eating a fat burger on San Vicente," and like, there's no way you know that. So, anyways, I had the same kind of realization, but
Ice Cube
you
ate
know,
Fat Burger till like 2 a.m, if I remember correctly, something like that. It was a good day.
yeah, it was a good day. But no, I thought this. So for one, uh, I loved when the Nausicaans were coming out. No gramba. I thought that was hilarious, and I also loved it when he said, "Maybe you need a bigger stick."
Yeah. What did I don't get it?
that that had me rolling. I was laughing, and then well, I also noticed that the Nausicaans had hair just like Dennis Madelon. So I just wanted to shout
Yes.
out Dennis Madelon.
In fact, there are also some people in the bar. And one of the guys in the bar, I had to look twice to make sure it wasn't Dennis Madelon,
Yeah.
because he kind of had like the shaggy hair. And I was like, is that Dennis? But then we got a better shot of him and it wasn't. But there are actually some really interesting aliens in there. I took a couple quick pictures. Let me see if I can.
Okay.
One was, and we might have to ask the free for all, but this one, I remember this guy like as a guy that kind of did like put his hands on someone or like sucked. He was like a telepathic guy. Remember in one of the TNG episodes, this was like a telepathic character, and I can't remember who it was. Then there was this guy that kind of looked like a Twi'lek from Star Wars. But I don't remember. Anyway,
Okay. Wow.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
was
didn't
some
see all
fun.
of those, but that was my question for you. Boom, you just reminded me. The question was, or is, did they film that bar Dom Jot scene at Quark's bar? Because
Interesting.
I felt like they just redressed Quark's bar, and I could be wrong, but I've spent a lot of time in Quark, so I
It's
don't think they built a
possible.
whole other bar. The
It's
way that ceilings,
possible, especially with all those extra aliens that we got accustomed to seeing in Corpse War. There was also an Antikin. Remember the guys that kind of looked like dogs? Dog people. There
yeah,
was an Antikin in there. Yeah, I wonder. Because
I think
they
they
were
redressed
shooting.
Quark's
Yeah.
bar,
They were
if I'm
shooting
not
Deep Space
mistaken.
Nine at the time.
Yeah, and if they're not using that set, uh, I don't know if they borrowed sets like that from each other. I think we did. We used the cave scenes together. I'm sure we both used the cave at the same time. But I
Oh yeah.
was looking around the back, and I felt like that was Quark's bar based on. I thought I saw the staircase that goes upstairs in the back. Um, the ceiling from the low shots looking up felt like they were the Quark ceiling. So I wasn't 100% sure, but I was like, is that Quarks that they just kind of redressed for this episode? I mean, we
Hmm.
were doing DS9 at this time, so it is possible.
It's possible. That is an interesting thought. I hadn't considered that. Um, Also, I thought that did we see Jordy at all in this episode? I don't remember if we actually saw him or if he just for that week had that one line of saying, "Hey, LaForge to Picard, hey Picard, I'm still waiting on that spectral analysis," right?
Yeah,
And that is another example of a guy, unless I'm mistaken, we might not have even seen him in this episode. If
I
so,
don't
it's
think we
like at the
saw it.
very beginning, on the bridge maybe, but he came in basically to do a line and a half. And I thought he delivered that line really well. Like, I'm still
Yeah,
waiting on that spectral analysis, like with a
yeah,
little bit of annoyance, but trying to be cool with your subordinate, but like
yeah,
kind of, he's kind of like, you could tell he's kind of tired of him. Like,
yeah.
I always have to tell you this, man. Like, I'm still waiting on that. And I was like, whoa, this is another case where these professional freaking actors, they show up for one day or half a day or a VO moment. And it was great. I was like, wow, I shouldn't be surprised by that, but it really stands out to me because we've seen it a ton of times in the past where maybe it's not a lead, but it's one of the characters. They're going, they're calling in on the view screen and they're just going like, I'm sending you my coordinates now. You should be, and you're just like, somebody give this guy something to work with here because this guy is giving me nothing, right? It happens all the time.
It does.
But Riker and Troy and Geordi and the others never do that. They just don't phone it in. And I think they should be commended for it, personally.
Yeah. You mentioned Riker and Troy's scene. I thought they were fantastic in their moments here. I
Totally.
actually thought Worf had a very under recognized
Mm-hmm.
line because it was so
Mr.
small.
Picard. Yeah.
Yeah. When he gives him his title, the way he enunciates that title is fantastic. I had to rewind it just because I love the way he said it. He put a period after Lieutenant Junior grade and he paused, right? And
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and so it was just perfectly delivered, I thought, from Worf.
And that's what really hit hard the most for this particular episode are those moments back on the bridge. Those moments, I mean, Patrick Stewart's acting was beautiful throughout because you could feel what he's feeling, but it's that we know who he's supposed to be, and that's why those lines are really biting when he says, "Mr. Picard, can I help you, Mr. Picard?" Like he's just like, "What do
Yeah,
you need?" And then Lieutenant Junior grade, and then when Geordi hits him with the little thing, and then Riker and Troy are just beating him down. Like, oh man, that is
oh, and the way Riker says, uh, uh, punctual.
punctual.
Yeah. Like he's like looking for a compliment.
Geordi
It's
doesn't
like,
think he's punctual.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's like that moment when you're like fishing for, you're like, what can I say good without like tearing this guy down? You're,
Punctual.
punctual.
You smell
Yeah.
nice. It's time for the home run of today's episode. Sirach, who gets the home run of today's episode?
Um, yeah. I want to say that first of all, Les Landau, kudos to you, Les, directing this episode. I always give you a hard time for our self-sealing stem bolts moment, but you've really proven yourself time and time again being an excellent director, and I thought this was good directing from you as well. So you're out there listening, Les. I'm giving you a shout out. But the home run goes to Ronald D. Moore. Like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I wrote down in my notes, greatest of all time, and that's how I feel like he's the greatest writer in this franchise. No knock to anybody else because I do love a lot of these writers. I think they're amongst the stars of great writers, the Rod Serlings of the world. But yes, I want to say that Ronald Moore, man, his language, his grasp of conflict and drama, it's just beautifully. He's just a beautiful storyteller,
Mm-hmm.
and I love his episodes. So Ronald D. Moore.
All right. By the way, Les Landau, I agree with you there. Whenever you need a little more, less is more. That's our guy. And I had a feeling you would say Ronald D. Moore. Oh, that also worked. But I'm going to lean into Patrick Stewart because Patrick Stewart just had a terrific performance, and it's a memorable performance. It's an excellent script, beautifully acted, well executed by the director. High grades all around, but my home run of the day will barely go to Patrick Stewart, edging out the others. All right, here are some other edgelords. Their names are Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel, Eve England out in Wales, Yvette Blackman, Tom T.J. Jackson Bay out in Missouri, Titus Moeller, Dr. Mohammed Noor, Anil O. Palat. Haven't seen him in a while. Joe Balsarati, Mike Goo, Dr. Stephanie Baker, Carrie Schwent, Faith Howell, the Matt Boardman, Chris McGee, Jake Barrett, Henry Unger, Allison Leach Hyde, Julie Manasfi, Jed Thompson, Dr. Susan V. Gruner, Glenn Iverson, Dave Gregory, Chris Sternett, Greg K. Wickstrom, Cassandra G., Chuck A., Chris Garris, and of course, the guy who said it's his favorite episode of TNG ever, Jason M. Oken. All right, everybody, time for the free-for-all. We will be right back. Let's see what other people thought of this one on the Seventh Rule. Well, hi there, everybody. Welcome back to the Seventh Rule with Sir Rock Lofton. This is the free-for-all with Melissa Longo.
Hi.
And Faith Howell. Cool shirt. Chuck A is the TNG fanatic.
Hello.
Everybody's got cool shirts, actually. Dr. Susan V. Gruner is hanging out with us as well. Ooh, Seventh Rule shirt. Chris Garris has his To the Journey shirt.
Hello.
TJ Jackson Bay is in stripes on the bridge of the Enterprise D. Carrie Schwent has her Abyssinian Kiosk Cisco Kid shirt.
And Tiny Q.
Tiny Q. Chris McGee. Oh, that's an accurate shirt. Starfleet Academy. Perfect. And the Matt Boardman has the Laughing Picard behind him. Beautiful stuff. All right. This is it. This is the big one. Jake Sisko guesses the IMDb score.
I'm going to say it's 8.7. 8.7.
8.7. Okay, interesting guess. Does anybody else have any guesses that doesn't already know?
I'm going to say 8.9.
8.6.
Wow, everybody's really super tight and close here.
If it's below that, I don't want to hear it.
The actual answer, everybody, that sound you just heard was not a Nausicaan. It was our buzzer that says somebody got it right on the money. And it was Sirach Lofton. 8.7.
Wow.
Am I right, Melissa? Oh, you're looking at me like maybe I needed recheck.
I thought it was 8.8.
Did it just go up today?
Just went up.
Refresh.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
It is an 8.8.
No, oh yeah. Actually, no, I did have it as an 8.8. I'm so sorry.
Oh.
Sirach.
Close enough.
So, and who had the 8.9? You guys were on either
I did.
end of it. Very good,
8.9.
Chris Garris. Excellent. All right. That's okay. Still very, very, very good. Non-appearance mention. We had Dr. Solar right at the top of the episode, right?
Yes.
That was awesome.
Yes.
Did we have any
Love
others?
that.
And she became a French rapper after this. MC
DJ
Solar?
Solar.
No. Sorry. There's a French rapper. Never mind.
What about Amelia Earhart?
Yes, because we saw her in Voyager, right?
We did see her in Voyager.
Brilliant.
When did they mention Amelia Earhart? I missed that.
The Starbase.
Starbase Earhart is where they were at.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And shout out to the Ajax too. They mentioned Ajax, which I use to clean my sink sometimes.
They actually mentioned another episode that didn't even exist yet, Mortal Coil, which was in Voyager.
Yeah. Yep.
Mortal.
That's pretty cool.
I was like, I recognized it.
That's a good one. Now, did we have any some kinds of or some sorts of today, you guys?
Indeed. When Corey realized that he had been tricked, said, I'll bet you that he had some sort of magnetic device in his belt.
Mm-hmm. That's his pickup line too, actually. I think. I'm not sure. Magnetic.
Is that a magnetic device, or you're just happy to see me?
Just wait till you see my magnetic device.
we'll cut around all that.
Please do.
So we probably won't, though. All right, Melissa, will you please get us started off on the right track? Clean this place up by telling us what you thought of this episode.
Yeah, I don't know how clean I can make it. I have mixed thoughts about this episode. It's so, it's not going to be all roses and rainbows and butterflies for me, unfortunately. But I will tell you what I did like. I really liked, one, I love Ronald D. Moore. I think he's fantastic. I love his work as a whole. I love the guy. I also think Patrick Stewart is pretty fantastic. He wins me over all the time. I think the way he delivers lines, the way he performs is fantastic. I do understand why this is so many people's favorite episode, or they like it so much, is because it's very relatable in that we're often questioning ourselves as human beings and the choices that we've made in our lives and owning those choices. And we don't often own those choices, even the wrong choices, even the bad choices. We kind of try to brush under the rug but all of our messiness, all of the non-beautiful parts of us are part of us, and that's what makes us who we are. And trying to hide that from that and our messy, bumpy parts, it is not realistic, and it's not fun. It's not fun. I will say that I did have some issues with this episode, most of which I will leave with for things left unsaid. But the biggest issue that I had was that whether Picard chose to walk away in that moment from the Nausicaans or not, I don't think Picard, knowing his personality, would ever end up in a mediocre life. That doesn't seem realistic to me. So, and I will tell you why I think this in Things Left Unsaid and some other things that didn't sit well with me for this episode.
Wow. Good stuff. Thank you very much, Melissa Longo.
Nice.
This is going to be a brawl today. I can see it. I can feel it. Faith Howell, swing away.
I have to go the other way. I think this is a fabulous episode. I think that I connect really strongly with that concept of, we are where we are for a reason, that every choice that we've made along the way has led us to where we are. And just to share a little bit, I applied for some things way back in March, didn't think I was going to get, and was selected not only to be part of a committee, but somehow Frodo got selected to take the ring and lead the committee this week. I've told a couple of you guys in private. So, as I was watching this episode, I was thinking heavily about that experience and how, I am positioned where I am professionally and with my children and everything. And, you guys, meeting with you guys every week has given me that extra spark of confidence that I feel like I can be a part of a panel, and just every little piece of the puzzle comes together sometimes to encourage you to get out of that comfort zone and to take a risk and to be great and do good in the world, or, the galaxy as it may be. And so I really have connected tightly with this episode this week, and I thank you guys, and I thank Star Trek for always being that little companion and thought partner and encouragement as we go through life. So I have a few more things, but I'll save them for things left unsaid.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Faith. Melissa, I hope you feel bad now.
Why? What did I say that was so wrong?
Up next is Chuck A. He's the TNG fanatic, so I'm guessing he likes this one.
Yeah, such a good episode. I liked. There's only like one nitpick I have, but everything. The episode itself was really very good. I'll show my John Luck Pickard figure. That was my favorite line in the episode. And then you got the Lieutenant J.G. Picard from I guess you call it an alternate reality. The best scenes that I liked in the episode were all the scenes with the Nausicaans. That makeup was just so fantastic. I like they used the word human, like what Quark does in DS9, human. I did read on Wikipedia that the actress that played Marta, J.C. Brandy, and I didn't know that she was only 17 years old when they filmed this episode.
Wow.
And they tried to make her look older. They were, the controversial scene there with Picard there, and the love scene that wasn't shown, obviously, but she was only 17. I thought John Delancey, I thought this was his best Q episode of any of them. The one that the episode of the 7th season, I won't spoil it. He was also very good. But I thought this was his best episode, and he was so compassionate, especially towards the end of the episode for Picard. In like what Picard said to Riker at the end, that he owes Q a bunch of gratitude. Really loved this episode. One of my favorite episodes of TNG. Very good.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Chuck A. Great stuff as always. Speaking of great stuff, Dr. Susan V. Gruner is here. What's up, Dr. Sue? It's been a while. What do you think of this episode? Do you love it?
Actually, I do love it. Despite that Q's in it, I still liked it. I thought, so far, I agree with everything that everybody else has said. I think the Q character was perfect for this episode. And any episode or any time you think about the fabric of your life or what you could have done or something like that, the what ifs. I like an episode that is a what if episode. Anybody who says that they don't think about what if is lying. Maybe the older you get, the more you think of stuff like that. But I have no nitpicks at all. I lied. I have one. That blood stain, I don't get the blood stain on his uniform in the beginning. But otherwise,
I think it was a phaser burn, maybe.
Yeah, it was kind of weird, but it didn't look burned. But I enjoy this episode every time I see it, and I've seen it many, many times, and it's a good episode.
And you take Lieutenant Junior Grade Picard gallivanting around Greece. You put him in a toga and got him a passport. We got those. Thank you very much, Dr.
And
Susan.
a COVID shot, by the way.
Good. Thanks very much, Dr. Susan V. Gruner. Allison Leach High. Looks like she's in like Vegas or something. What'd you think of this one?
I always like this episode. Hopefully you can hear me. I have no idea how my internet is, so woohoo. And I like it because it is we all have things we've done as younger people that were like, I was not me on my best day. But we need to not have our best days so we know what to strive for our best days. I do agree with Melissa that I think one changing of one of your not best days probably wouldn't completely change the course of your life, but I think this was like a little pocket universe that Q puts.
Uh-oh.
You just sent her to a pocket universe.
Yeah. Allison, can you hear us?
Oh no, did I?
We just lost you. We just lost you after Pocket Universe. But go ahead. We can hear you now.
Okay. I think Q put Picard in a pocket universe so he could experience like the effect of, okay, you can change one thing. How bad would it be? Just to give Picard that like nudge, like, you have actually built yourself a great life, even though when you were young, you might have been a little bit terrible, starting bar fights and, cheating at dumb job. So, I do enjoy that. And I love the scene where, Picard's in bed and the stroking of the ear and the fast pull up. It's like, no. I'm like, really? I do enjoy this episode, and yeah, never skip it.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Allison Leach Hyde, in the heart of Las Vegas, maybe. Yeah. Okay. Chris Garris is here. Chris, what's up? What did you think of this episode?
Oh, this is a great episode. It is, basically echoing what everybody said, but this episode is just basically about second chances. And Sue's right. Every one of us, if it's guaranteed, has thought, man, if I could just redo that. But I also liked how Picard, of course, Q being Q, he was like, don't mess up the timeline, Q. And he actually, said, okay, I won't mess up at everybody, but just take care of you. Because, there are thoughts like, there have been, things I've thought about kind of like faith in my own personal life. Like, man, if I had left or done this or that, it wouldn't have been the same. And, Picard gets that opportunity to see what his life might have been like if he did not get stabbed in the heart. And I like, I do love the banter between him and Q. Is, this one's actually good banter for a change, because, he's actually like, again, the whole, bed scene that he's like, come on, dude. And, the name calling, and it's just, it's kind of a dream to be like, man, what if I could just redo that, made that change in my life and see how it goes, and then be like, nope, don't want to do that. But unfortunately, we don't have the power of Q to do that for us. But yeah, I truly, only real nitpicks I have are with Dr. Crusher, and I will talk about those and things left unsaid.
Ooh, that's a good one. We didn't talk about her, but I did too have a few thoughts on that, but we didn't discuss it. Good stuff. Thanks very much, Chris Garris in Southeast Texas. TJ Jackson Bay is on the bridge of the Enterprise D, otherwise known as Missouri. What do you think of this one?
I've been looking forward to this one because I knew that it was one that you liked, Ryan. We hinted at it for years, and so it's a pleasure that it's here now. I enjoy watching it again. I don't know why so many people are mad at Beverly, but I look forward to finding out why. And speaking of Beverly, I thought it was funny that Picard storms into the sick bay calling Beverly, Beverly. And he doesn't even know if Beverly is on the ship or if he knows her. Like, Jack Crusher might still be alive, and she may never have come on the Enterprise, but who knows? And we don't find that out. But he gets another Q scene out of that interaction. And speaking of Q, I really enjoyed Q in this episode, and I find that when I watched this episode years and years ago, I thought that Q was just being roguish like always. But now, when I watched it earlier today, I found myself thinking that maybe the role that Q is playing is a role that I would play, because I do find myself, asking people those kind of questions about, do you really think, that you want to change the past, or really not accept who you are, and that all the pieces and all the things that happen and all the events, maybe the things that we call bad weren't. And more and more I find myself thinking like Q, which is interesting and weird, and a new revelation for me. But I also appreciated the interactions they had. One thing I will say is the speech that Q gives Picard in the blue uniform when he's telling him, hey, this guy never amounted to anything. That speech lived with me, even though, it was something that I didn't have it to replay over and over. It came on TV, but that speech stuck with me, especially when he said, and he never, ever got noticed by anyone. And I thought that John Delancey's delivery was A1, for that line to stick with me for as long as it had. I've never forgotten that line, exact word for word. And I think it impacted my life. So I think I have to be grateful for the way that Delancey delivered it. So I really appreciated that scene. I also appreciate that by the end of the episode, Melissa said it too, Picard is owning the choices that he made. Not only that, he's accepting it and grateful for it, and he's not looking back at it with regret anymore the way he was before. And so he's accepting that maybe all the things that he thinks is right, in all the judgments that he had on his past actions, maybe he can kind of let that go a little bit, and say, yes, sometimes I have to push a little harder. Sometimes I have to take that risk. And that's the right thing to do, because it's what moves us forward. Or, on an individual level, or as captain of the ship, he has to make that extra push or take that extra risk. And we've seen that illustrated in many episodes over time, not just with TNG, but we've seen it in Strange New Worlds, and other things that say, maybe taking the safe, what we call the safe course, or the good road, or the higher road, might not always lead to the best results. Weird thought, but there it is. The last thing I'll say is when Picard walked into 10 Forward, even though I've seen this episode many times, I still fully expect to see Guinan there, and for that to be the person that he's going to see. Maybe even who he was hoping to find there, since there's some timey-wimey stuff going on, and we already know that, she knows when stuff is out of place in time. I really would have liked to have seen him interact with her, especially with Q being involved, and that relationship. I kind of wonder what kind of episode it would have been if Guinan was there. So that's what I have. Nice, man.
That's great stuff, though. It's a good point about Guinan. Would have been cool to see how she would have reacted in this episode. Thank you very much, TJ Jackson, Bayot, Missouri. Carrie Schwent, a.k.a. Crafty Bear. That's an interesting background. What did you think of this episode? First-time viewer?
I've seen it many times before. Had never really paid too much of attention, honestly, to the conversation that Picard has with Riker at the end. But I'll circle back to that in a minute. Of course, it's Q. I love Q so much. I think this is, aside from the season two finale of season two of Picard, this is probably, I think, my favorite Q and Picard episode. The image behind Melissa is hands down my favorite interaction of the two of them across the entire series. It is just laugh out loud funny the way Q whispers, "Morning, darling." Gets me every time. She's adorable. Something I noticed in that bar area that has the Dom Jot table, and the Dom Jot table looked really cool. Seemed like a combination of like bumper pool and a pinball table, almost. It could be fun to play, but if you notice in the background, there is both an Antiken and a Sele from Lonely Among Us.
Yes, episode
like
4, maybe
dude
something
and like
like
the
that.
dog looking dude.
5.
Gotta keep reusing those costumes, especially the lizard dude. I always thought the lizard dude looked cool. And I found out the actor who plays the younger Jean-Luc when they do that recreation of it in the White Room is played by an actor named Marcus Nash, whose sister Jennifer Nash played Picard's daughter in the Inner Light, the scientist daughter. Apparently, she got her brother the audition for that, and I kind of wish they'd have used the younger Picard a little bit more in like the stuff in the past. Probably would have made the interactions with Marta a little bit more comfortable. But I still very much enjoy the episode. To circle back to what I mentioned before, it's definitely a what if kind of episode. You could call it either maybe It's a Wonderful Trek or It's a Wonderful Q. Either one I think would have worked. Although I like that it's called Tapestry because it doesn't give away that Q is in the episode, and that reveal at the beginning when Picard takes the hand of this dude in white robes, and suddenly you see it's Q, and he's like, "Yeah, you're dead, and I'm God," and he's grinning. Just absolutely just kills it in that scene. Pardon the pun there, but it definitely got me thinking. And listening to Picard and Riker at the end talk about pulling a tapestry thread. And by the way, my background is a collage of various tapestries I found on just a random Google search. I couldn't resist having a tapestry of tapestries. But yeah, him saying that just definitely hit me different this time. And all I could think about was going back to when I was in high school and telling my aunt, who's trying to set me up with a guy she knows at work, "No thanks, I'm good." If I had said no, I probably would not be sitting here talking to you guys, being deep into Trek as I've gotten in the last few years. So as much as I would like to go back and tell my aunt I love you, but I'm good, it's probably a good thing I did say yes. But it also got me all philosophical and not sure if it counts as metaphysical. TJ will have to tell me if that's how I'm being or not. But that conversation, it sort of inspired the limerick. So it's a little deeper of a limerick than usual, but here we go. The tapestry of one's life contains threads. Some come from events, some from dear friends. Each one should be treasured, even those that are weathered. All are required in the end.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. Carrie Schwent with the Tapestry of Tapestries. Chris McGee is the Dark Lord of Dark Lords. What'd you think of this one?
Well, first of all, Sirach, your wish was granted. You wanted an episode with Q that didn't have Q in the title, and they heard you. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Seriously, though, this is an incredible episode and one of my absolute favorites, and so relatable for all the reasons others have already mentioned, so I don't need to repeat them. This episode, as you know, deviates from the Q norm by, as mentioned, not having Q in the title, like Carrie observed, nor having him show up at the end to gloat or whatever. And because of that, does make one wonder, as Picard wondered at the end, if what happened in this episode was real or imagined, or maybe even some combination. Most of all, I love how a short conversation during the second season episode Samaritan Snare was expanded upon to become an entire episode, and an excellent one at that. So now we finally get to see the Nausicaans and the fight that led to his artificial heart, which he told in his story to Wesley on the shuttlecraft in Samaritan Snare.
Nice.
Incidentally, knowing this episode was coming up, I finally watched Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind recently and was deeply moved by it. I cannot recommend it enough. Now I have to see more of Miyazaki's films. Another thing I love about this episode is the premise of someone from the future traveling to the past to change it for the better, and no one sees that person for who they really are. You all know where I'm going with this, don't you? Yeah. Episode practically screams Quantum Leap to me. Another of my favorite shows that was airing at the same time as Next Generation, and sadly ended its run just a few months after this episode aired. Lieutenant J can be seen briefly on the bridge when Picard returns to the present, just over Picard's left shoulder. And Carrie mentioned an Antikin in the Domjot scene. Well, Tracy also played the Antikin to Corey's right in that scene.
I wondered about that because the movements and the height seem to fit her, and I know she'd played an Antikin before. Good catch, Chris.
Yeah. And lastly, Picard's laugh when he sees the blade sticking through his chest was originally in Samaritan Snare described as a giddy warmth when he told that story to Wesley. Well, now we know it was because he was happy that his timeline was restored. At least that's what I took away from it. There are so many memorable quotes in this episode. The one I've chosen is Q saying, "That's a beautiful story. Get you right here, doesn't it?"
Yeah, that's funny. Thank you very much, Dark Lord, with the dark humor. Chris McGee. All right, the Matt Boardman, the guy you heard say, "Oh boy," when Chris McGee was alluding to Quantum Leap. What do you think of this one, D. Matt?
Well, this is obviously a fan favorite, and I'm one of the fans that happens to like it. So I it's interesting, and I've said in the past, there's certain episodes that hit you different ways depending on where you're at in life. Kind of sometimes it's right here, right? But I just think it's interesting that maybe one of the hallmarks of a successful Star Trek episode is that it makes you think. And it makes you reflect on your own life and where you're at in life, and I think I love this one because as I've listened to all of you, it's made every one of you reflect back on your lives and the choices that you've made that have led you here, right? I had the fortune or misfortune of finding one of my journals from high school. And as I'm reading through this, I legit was having secondhand embarrassment for myself for some of the things that I was reading in there, and it's like, oh, did I really? Yeah, I did.
Show us.
It's actually a Star Trek journal too. Shockingly, right? But it reminds me of the scene in Star Trek V when Sybok is reviewing moments in Spock and McCoy's life, and he's, let me take your pain from you. And then he gets to Kirk, and Kirk says, I don't want you to take my pain. I need my pain. And that is something, watching that movie as a teenager, that struck me as very poignant because, we would love to not experience embarrassing moments. We would love to not have, made certain choices that in hindsight we could have done differently. But all of those things make us who we are today. And as Melissa said, we should embrace those things and not be ashamed of those things that make us who we are, because as I look around at all of you here, I'm grateful for the choices that you made because I have a deep love and appreciation for all of you. And I'm grateful for the choices that you have all made that have led you here to this moment in time that we all get to share together. And so I think if anything, maybe the Picard that life that Picard experienced of this lesser man. I have to agree with Melissa. Yes, I do not think that Picard would have been that man, but maybe Q did it as for a reason to show him that you're good. Like stop second guessing that one moment in your life because it could have been a lot worse, and this is not who you were meant to be. And so anyway, love Tapestry, and it was a good episode for this point in my life.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. The Matt Boardman. All right. Jake's final take. Sirach, any final thoughts on this particular episode?
Okay, yeah, I have some final thoughts. I first of all would like to know what Worf was doing in security when he let the Lunarians post up outside the conference room with some kind of weapon. How are you allowed to board the ship in some kind of meeting with anybody and have a weapon on you? It just that I want to know what Worf was doing. He was slipping right there. And other thing I was thinking about was when Picard was in that moment with Q in that afterlife white light room that's behind Chris Garris, reminded me of Cisco with the wormhole aliens in the white light room. And so I like how white light rooms are always used for this kind of a place where, it's undefined. It's like we don't really know what it is. And so that's like a callback on the white light rooms. And I like it. Let's see, Captain Thomas Holloway. I would like to see a whole little spin-off on, that guy. What's he doing? Who is he?
Yeah.
He might be somebody interesting. He happened to be the captain when Picard wasn't there. So I don't know. Maybe he's good at something. Yeah, I was thinking about that song, I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight. I don't know why, but it was there in my head.
Who is that? Mr. Mister? Or wait, no, it's...
Yeah. I don't know who that is, but it was in my head. Yeah, there's some things that I enjoyed about this episode. Definitely my favorite.
Cutting crew.
Cutting crew.
I Googled it.
Yeah, I felt like this is the best Q episode I've seen. I enjoyed him. He was tolerable in this. He had a little bit of compassion. And actually, for the first time, he actually won the debate. Because when he goes back and forth with Picard is always the winner in their debating, about principles, about morality, about the human condition. And in this instance, Picard says to him something to the effect of, I admit it was a mistake. I'd rather die the man I was than live the life I saw. So he admits that trying to relive his life was a mistake. And he would, rather be the man that he was than try to, go through the obstacle of reliving all of these things. And so technically, in this gamesmanship that Picard has with Q throughout this series, I felt like Picard has always been winning the gamesmanship. But in this particular instance, I will give Q the win. It seems as though he wins in this. Now, he may have set up a scenario. It might not be real. I don't know if all the things are real, but at least in the play of wanting to re-choose, to redo things, and versus just accepting the outcome of whatever life you live, Q is right about this one. And so I thought that made it good for me. Definitely my favorite Q episode to watch. I'm glad there wasn't in the title, didn't give it away. And I'm glad he wasn't as obnoxious as he normally is. Sometimes he was slightly dialed back on it. and I thought it was great for me. But I do have a lot of nitpicks, and I'd love to get into those on the side.
Woo! It's gonna be fire. Yeah, when you're talking about Picard and trying to go back and change that, I was actually reminded of when they talked to the emissary on the first episode of Deep Space Nine, saying, "Then why do you exist here?"
Wow.
Right? It's a similar message to that. All right, well, good stuff, everybody. Thank you very much to Allison Leach Hyde, Matt Boardman, Chris McGee, Carrie Schwent, TJ Jackson, Bay out in Missouri, Chris Garris, Dr. Susan V. Gruner, Chuck A. Faith Howell, Melissa Longo, for myself, Sirach Lofton, Melissa, and Mr. Aaron Eisenberg. We will see you next time, unless you're joining us for Things Left Unsaid. We're going to bring out our Nausicaan action figures. Sirach and Melissa are going to blast this episode.
Have you done your impression?
No, he has not, and I've been very disappointed.
I did the Nausicaan one actually, and Sirach said, when I heard you doing that before, I thought it was a Ferengi.
Yeah.
Okay. As long as you've done it.
Good memory. Yes. Yeah. I think I did it while we were recording. I think so.
Yeah, you did.
Great.
Okay.
All right. He's like, you don't need to do it again, right? All right. Well, everybody, stick around. We will see you next time. I'll do it in Things Left Unsaid on The Seventh Rule.